outside of iRacing, but we cannot thank you guys enough for tuning in because there is a simulcast going on in a sense with the NASCAR duels at Daytona on at the moment. We appreciate anyone and everyone that tunes in tonight to watch the playoff field cut from 8 to 4 for the SimSpeedShop Cup Series here at Kansas. So a little bit of a developing story here as you see the 12 of Eric Weiland is second on the practice charts. He's actually disconnected. And Harold, could you tell us why he disconnected from the server?
Yeah, Eric Wineland has elected to enter himself into the iRacing Road to Pro Series, basically trying to get himself into the Coca-Cola Series. That's basically the professional series of iRacing, and that starts tonight, trying to get himself into the top 70. I guess that's the top bracket. So good luck to him, but he won't be here tonight, which basically means he just gave up one of those positions into the top 4 going into championship week next week.
If we'll look at our point standings really quick, as we all of us here at Ryan wish Eric nothing but the best and good fortune for him tonight. And he was only 7 points to the good following last week's race at Michigan, which the only driver who's locked himself in is Tyler Hallman after getting that win as the 8th seed in the points. So Garrett Grant, second in points, but the highest amongst those without a win. 10 points to the good, and we mentioned Eric Weiland disconnected. Although he did show speed, he is out doing the Road to Pro, so he will not make the Championship 4. And David Weishart at +2 to the good. These guys in the red here, they are on the outside looking in. Now, you got to be, if you're any one of these guys, like Danny Ware, Ed Robertson, even Jacob Beller, Garrett Heath, they're looking at this as a sigh of relief because David Weishart's only 2 points to the good. So really, there could be 2 drivers from the outside looking in to make it to tonight's race. Although Jacob Bell 10 points out and Garrett Heath 11 points out will be needing a win most likely to get in. But Ed Robertson and Danny Ware have the potential to lock themselves in if they can get past David Weishart, which is really the only concern for those drivers. And in Weishart's case, the only way he doesn't make it in is he could not win the race and have someone on the outside like Danny Ware, Ed Robertson win, with one of the 2 being locked in, or anyone could win with Jacob Bell or Garrett Heath. So David Weishart in a real tough pickle here heading into Kansas.
It looks like, Hallman's already locked in. Garrett Grant, with the number of drivers, I would say he's pretty much a lock. And Weishart, with 2 points, it's going to be, and that's just, that's 2 points here. If somebody pulls, has 0 incidents, and leads a lap, and Weishart does none of those, then that's 3 points he already loses before even positions get involved.
See how the race plays out. So we have 140 laps slated tonight at Kansas, and we got, looking at the fuel run here, to be about 40 to 45 laps with 3 tire sets for these guys as usual. So we'll see if that comes into effect at all, because this race does have the potential to go green flag the whole way around. We're looking through the chat. We got Dominic DeLeo, a Championship 4 driver for the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series, cheering on Jersey boy Ed Robertson, who's at the top of our charts here, the 30.340. And then Alan Elwood, Championship 4 driver in the Lodge Box Series, says he feels that Danny Ware is going to make it in, which Danny Ware himself is already locked into the Northern Capital Truck Series Championship 4, so he's looking to go for 2 titles if he can get it done tonight. He's in at 4th in our practice standing at the moment.
Not bad picks by anybody in the chat right there. Robertson's fast. He's very consistent. And Danny Ware showed speed all season long as well. So it's anybody's game tonight for sure.
I was going to bring this up before before the Wineland incident, but now that Wineland is going to be out, someone from the outside is definitely going to make it in. But all the series this week at Kansas have had at least one driver from the outside make it into the top four. So Monday night we saw Gary Lewis over his teammate Forrest Smith make it to the championship four. We saw Nicholas Trader. He was 6 points out, made his way in for the Northern Capital Czech Series, and then Therian from the Lodge Box Series was on the outside looking in. So we know at least one driver is going to be heading into the championship four that's not in at the moment. We see Ed Robertson, as you mentioned, fastest on the chart. Cameron Hearn second. David Weishart, Danny Ware pair of championship. Well, not yet championship, but still playoff drivers. As that is a championship driver flying in the air. I think he's still ecstatic about his win at Michigan. Tyler Hallman. Thankfully, it's only practice. And we got Garrett Heath looking into the road course. Actually, that's Cameron Hearn looking into the road course portion of Kansas. So we saw Monday night, the dominant line seemed to be the top. You seem to get the run. The bottom would be there to make moves or dive bombs if necessary, but the top groove was just the preferred groove all the way around. It would propel you down the straightaways with such momentum. James, as we head into tonight's race with the Cup cars, which lane do you think is going to be the most dominant?
Well, with this package, they definitely lose momentum anytime you bog the motor down. It's all about wheel input, how much wheel you put into it. You don't want to scrub speed in these Cup cars. They're comparable to the trucks in that sense. So I'm thinking we're going to see it like the truck race was on Tuesday, where guys are going to be able to start off on the bottom for the first half of the run, and then once the tires wear out, it's going to be all about keeping that momentum up, and we'll see guys go up to the top as the run goes on.
The top seems to be the preferred groove all the way around, as it has been throughout the week. Now, is that due to the massive runs that you get? Is that due to the repaving of the racetrack? It was reconfigured in the 2012 season.
See, that I'm not sure about. I know running the ARCA car and the truck Monday and Tuesday night, you could get around the track on the bottom, but it just got really tight as the run progressed. So you kind of had to migrate to the top as the run went on. So starting off up there, I mean, you get in a rhythm. As long as you can keep it out of the fence and not get any damage, you can definitely hold your speed up there. The momentum will carry you past people on the inside, carry you out of the corner. So yeah, for sure, like I said, it's all about keeping momentum up. So that's why the outside here is so strong. It's literally a momentum game.
Through here, our very own Dominic DeLeo put less amount of drivers might actually be enough to keep Wineland in the Final Four if he still gets credit for being 14th or 15th. However, he disconnected in the practice server. What are they doing? They're climbing the pit walls.
That is a question. I don't believe if he doesn't grid, I think he gets a 0. We're about Jacob Bell on that one, but hey, James, as a driver, I thought that was the case. You had to actually grid to get last place points, right?
You would think you would have to turn at least one lap. But I'm not sure. I don't even know if that's in the rule book, honestly. But you would think turning one lap would get you last place points, not just. Yeah, that's why they call it a starting park. You start, turn one lap, and then park it. But connecting to the server and disconnecting before the race starts, I don't know if that's going to be enough to even give them last place position.
Still showing him in the qualifying. Well, we'll see in their starting grid if he's still in or not. But we needed to get qualifying going because these guys were figuring out ways to wander around the racetrack, cartwheeling in the infield, driving into the road course, and then climbing the pit wall. Guys are starting to lose their minds out here, so time to get focused in for our 10-minute qualifying session. One of the first drivers out is the 5 of Garrett Grant. As we mentioned, in the point standings is the highest amongst those in the playoffs without a win, at 10 points to the good. All drivers will get 2 laps to put down their fastest lap time. And if they hit the wall, the lap time will not count. And if it's on lap 1, then they can recover for lap number 2. But if it is on lap 2, then you got to stick with what you got on lap 1. But if you hit it both laps, then you're kind of in a pickle. It'll be really interesting to see if these guys are able to keep it out of the wall, especially on corner exits because of the speed that they're carrying through. So on the left side, you'll see the lap times change. And then on the top right, as you just saw, we'll see the fastest lap go just below the one to go logo on your screen.
Something to take note on, too, is he ran the outside line for the first 2 laps and drove it directly to the bottom on this second lap. So it looks like he has in his head that second lap is fast lap, and you got to be on the bottom. Shortest way around the track, if you can get that momentum built up and not scrub a lot of it off by doing so, it's definitely, as he goes to the top of the charts, definitely the preferred way to get around here in qualifying.
We saw a good bit of that Monday night with the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series drivers. Well, some drivers would just stick to the outside, or some would run the middle and then run the bottom. But very interesting to see there the different lines that these guys take. As we have only 5 drivers, now 6 qualifying. Cameron Hearn went to a 30.529 on his second lap.
Now,
15 car will be done.
Grabbing the rule book does not say who gets the points. It just says how the points will be awarded. So that'd be a good question to ask.
They're losing their minds in qualifying too.
Yeah.
Wonder if Wineland found that gray area since he's in the lobby, if he will get credit for that. We'll have to see how they call it after the race.
That will definitely be interesting to see. I guess, however, Dan Lisa does it. That's who they send it. Well, it used to be Dan Lisa. Now it's the other
Sim Racer Hub.
Yeah. Because my understanding is they just take the results and export them over, and the point system's already been developed through them. So
in that case, with him being in the lobby, he should get the last place point according to Sim Racer Hub. We'll see. It's just going to be up to how the admins rule it, I guess.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on it.
As we continue to keep an eye on the O2 of Jordan Martin. He just completed his first lap with a 30.931. He was one of the late drivers to enter into the lobby before practice expired. So really, this is his only practice session. Don't know if he got any lap times out there. He'll come down and complete his second lap.
It's interesting. Dom DeLeo, see, this is how dedicated Dom is for us. Dom actually went and looked at the week we were in Nashville with the ARCA series where Drew Trader was supposed to be a fill-in. So he did practice and he didn't race, and he received 24th place points.
Okay, so there's our answer.
Yeah, so Wineland not absolutely out according to that possibility. So another curveball brought to you by the New Jersey native.
Great investigation work there by Dom DeLeo to figure that out for us.
Yeah.
We see the 09 of Bryce Senesac looking to complete his second lap around, which is a 30.596. So that will put the 09 in the 9th spot. We're looking through here. Weishart went to the top with a 30.445. Seidenfeld in the highest non-playoff driver at a 30.478. Very close lap times here. But looking only in here. This is updated. So only Jacob Bell, Ed Robertson have yet to go out and put a lap time down.
The only person eligible is Jake Bell. Everybody else has checkered flags. So Jake's the only one capable. So Robertson and Island's not in, and Ed Robertson has either elected not to or has scrubbed the wall.
Looking through, I don't see Robertson with a lap time down, so I think he's elected to not go out.
Yeah, I said this is one of those things that iRacing put in was there's a button that basically says, I'm not qualifying. So you can click that button and move it on, they basically do for you.
over 4 minutes left in qualifying. I think this is the quickest session we've had. Well, amongst drivers that have gone out and completed their lap, because we've seen some wait until just about over a minute left to qualify. So, are there any curveballs that we could be seeing from tonight's race with the Cup cars? Because I mean, we saw that happen at Richmond, then we saw it happen in Atlanta, where we expected a calm race and mostly caution-free action, and then in Atlanta we had multiple wrecks before the first yellow even happened.
Well, not to hopefully find something to knock on here, but normally when we have the Xfinity Series go caution free, the Cup tries to match, which we had a caution free race last night with the Xfinity Series.
Only time will tell. And if it was a caution free race last night and that carries into tonight's race, we've got looking at a fuel run of 40 to 45 laps. So, James, if this does come down to fuel mileage, how would you save, and how much would you save, or would you try and split up into Harold's pit strategy in the thirds or fourths?
Man, I don't know. It's I tried to save a set of tires Monday night for the end, and it ruined my race. I think I ended up like 11th or something. Definitely had the speed to be up front, just my strategy was off. Anytime I try to play a different strategy than the field, it seems like it never works out for me. So I just tend to roll with the punches and do what everybody else does. And I think I would do the same tonight, honestly.
If they can get the 45 laps, that's if they can get the 45 laps, they can do it with two sets of tires, leaving one in the pit stop. However, my money is on splitting this thing into 3 stops, which would basically be, what was that, around, my math is all fuzzy now, so just under 40 laps, 35 or so. Yeah, 35 laps. So 35, 70, and then 105. Get the most out of them. And I know, James, you were talking about being on the track before, and if you're going to split it, you want to split it as even as possible, correct?
Oh yeah. You want to. It depends on what you're. For me, as a driver, from a driver's standpoint, it depends on what my tires look like after the first run. If I still have a lot of life left in them, I'll try and stretch it a little bit longer the second run, so that way I'm a little bit fresher towards the end of the race on the final stint. Even 2-3 laps can make a huge difference tire-wise when it comes to fresh tires. So it all depends on what your tire wear looks like in the mindset of a driver. If you feel like you're burning your stuff up and you use too much, then you might even not run as many laps the second run. You might just get to that fuel window and come in right away.
Jacob Bell just went to second on the chart, 30.465. Sorry to cut you off there, but I was distracted by other things, and it wasn't from Jacob Bell until the very last moment. But didn't expect him to go out. Honestly, did not expect him, but he went out there and put down a flyer of a lap time with 30 seconds remaining.
Oh yeah, that was a quick lap by him, and I got word from Ed Robertson that he has not qualified all year in Cup, and he is not changing that strategy tonight.
There you go. He's like, why should I? Is what he asked. Like, and why should I?
I have a feeling if he makes it into the Final Four, though, he will be qualifying next week.
I honestly got distracted from the action I saw at Daytona, then looked at the very last second, saw, Drake's running a lap time. Oh, he's second. Oh, man. And also joining the lobby is Eli Green. Now, I'm not sure if that's as a driver or a fill-in for the 12, or if he's going into admin. Admin, okay.
Yes, sir.
So he violated my rule. You come in as a watcher. So anyway, we can have done something. That's all right. We'll work with it. We'll get the grid started here. So we got Dave Weishart on the front here. So we'll get us all set up for racing. That's what I was looking for. Here's the grid.
All right, so your front row is going to consist of David Weishart on the pole, and then Jacob Bell with a surprising second place qualifying time. Remember, he's 10 points on the outside looking in to that championship 4. All right, and row number 2 is going to be Chris Seinfeld, the highest of those not in the playoffs. And then Garrett Grant start 4th in row number 2. And then moving to row 3, got Cameron Hearn starting 5th, and alongside him, Danny Ware, another one of those drivers on the outside looking in, going to start 6th. And then row 4, a pair of non-playoff drivers with Christian DeBoer on the inside and Delonte Ballard on the outside. And row number 5, got one playoff driver that's already guaranteed a spot into Phoenix. That's the 52 of Tyler Hallman. And then the 09 of Bryce Tenesack going to start P10. Then we move into row number 6 with another pair of non-playoff drivers in Scott Mcclendon, another late entry, starting 11th. And then alongside him, going to be the number 91 of Blair Patterson. And in row 7, going to be the 02 of Jordan Martin. And alongside him is the vacant spot that would have belonged to Eric Weiland, but he will still get points for the race, as we thank Dom DeLeo for his research. And starting in row 8, going to be Ed Robertson, going to start 15th, and Eli Green is the admin joining as a driver. So only got 14 drivers in, and I think we're ready to see the space car roll them off pit road.
Did you have a communication directly to the driver? Because as soon as you said that, there he went.
Well, I noticed that they were still sitting there, so I'm like, at any moment they got to come down, got to get off pit road.
See, he got his little red headphones on, and he heard the tower give him the command to go, and off he went.
Sometimes my guesses are just lucky. And speaking of lucky, who do you guys think is going to win tonight's race? Who's going to have the right prediction? Last week, I picked the right winner, Tyler Hallman. We'll see if anyone can replicate that. Harold, who do you got?
Oh, I don't want to ruin anybody's race. Delonte Ballard for tonight.
Oh, you're going to ruin his race now. James, who you got?
I'm actually going to ride with the guy going shotgun on the field and take Ed Robertson. Showed a lot of speed in practice, and he's really good at getting through the field.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that one of the drivers on the outside will win, and that's going to be the 77 of Jacob Bell. So we see the pace car pulling into pit road. Got 140 laps late for us here tonight at Kansas. David Weishart leads the field to the green flag, and we're underway in Kansas.
You know, I was going to go with Bell, but I didn't want to put the curse on him. So
I feel like after my pick one last week, I reversed the curse.
Oh, is that it? All right.
Well, we'll see if that stays true as they roll into turn 3. Big lead for Weishart, 2 car lengths over him and Simon Feinester side by side for the third.
Got a mixed batch here of guys up by the wall and right down there on the white line. See how that plays out. See if these guys are going to stick to the bottom. And
we got a caution in the back.
Oh, one's loose. One's loose and into the wall. Caution on lap number 2 at Kansas.
There was 3 people involved in that one. We'll get a replay in here for you.
It's like Bryce Tenesack, Christian DeBoer, and the 02 of Jordan Martin were involved. So we'll take a look at our one-to-go replay. This is playing out like I thought Atlanta would, and we had action right off the bat. So
the back half right here.
Oh, and the board gets into the wall, and then the 09 gets turned by Jordan Martin. The 02, again, the worst end of that.
It was that back 2 drivers there and kind of rolled up into the 56 of Christian DeBoer.
On the initial start, when they went into turn 3, I saw the 5 of Garrett Grant get close to that wall, and he lost a good bit of ground, as saw on the live feed going into turn 1, but looks like the 56 just got a little bit too high there on the entry going into 1.
Well, I say it right. If you watch here with the number, there'll be contact right here. Actually, let me get that. My telestration is getting better. But between these two, there'll be contact right between the 09 and the 02. We'll roll that here. So 56 gets into the wall, and then there's the contact between the 09 and the 02.
The 2 got into the back of the 09. Couldn't quite check up. James, your thoughts?
Yeah, it looked like the 09 of Bryce Tenesack was just trying to give the 56 a little bit of room, seeing them get into the wall and occupied a little bit too much of the O2's real estate there, and they just made a little bit of contact, and it turned into a pretty big mess. Hope these guys can get their stuff fixed and get back out here, and I don't know if they'll be able to contend for it with the amount of damage they got, but as long as they can roll around and be somewhat competitive, I'm sure they'll be happy.
Jordan Martin has elected to leave the server, so he's done. The number 02. Done for the night.
Second really retiree from the night, as our first was Eric Wineland. So now the first from the race after the green flag is Jordan Martin.
And none of our playoff contenders were involved in that at all. It was actually
very fortunate for that. That would have turned things upside down if that were the case. But the O2 did get the worst end of that. So the 56 of DeBoer and the 09 of Senesac can continue. Although DeBoer's still on pit road, so we'll see if he comes back out on the racetrack. The 09 of Bryce Senesac has returned. He is 12th and going to get the one to go. Nope. Going to go another lap around under caution.
I'm sure these guys right now are turning their cars off, clutching it, doing everything they can to stretch that fuel out.
Or has now come out one lap down. I was going to mention, because of this early caution, I think we're seeing that now with the 45 Sci-Fi running the apron, holding in that clutch and saving fuel. Very early to have a wreck. Had it occur on lap number 2, so this is going to change some strategies for sure after this restart. We'll see. So an early caution on lap number 2. We're only on the lap 5 of 140 here tonight at Kansas, with coverage of tonight's race for the SimSpeedShop Cup Series, brought to you by Northern Capital. We would like to thank Russ and Steve Anderson of Northern Capital for their continuous support of the Northern Capital Truck Series, in which you can catch their championship race Tuesday night at 8:40 Eastern on the Araya Twitch channel.
And while I'm here and can pull this shameless plug, make sure you tune in Tuesday and root for the 83 truck to win the championship.
Wow. Seriously?
Well, it's sponsored by Northern Capital, so
okay.
it balances out.
Yeah, sure.
64 of Ed Robertson's come back down pit road, saw him come in. I think he's just topping off on fuel.
It looks like that's what he's done here. I don't see him taking any fuel. Or
You're
taking any tires,
looking.
I mean. Sorry. Didn't like he took tires. It's just fuel
You're
only.
on the outside looking in. Why not? Because we could have a long green flag run after this.
Well, so he's got new fuel, and these guys here had burned off at least 3 laps of that 40-ish we were talking. So now he can go all the way to lap 50, most likely. Which will allow him to save a set of tires, like James was saying, but hopefully under green flag conditions.
I was about to ask James, what could we see on this next restart, especially after such an early yellow?
I don't think we see these guys as aggressive. Reality has struck, and we're about to go green, so I'll let you take it back over.
All right, so once again, the 3 of David Weishart will lead the field to the green flag for our first restart, and we're back under the green flag conditions at Kansas. Very big jump there that time by the 3 of Weishart. Just a good launch from the restart in the 45 Sci-Fi, trying to hold on to second spot, being under attack by the 77 of Bell.
Interesting to see Mr. Hallman 3 wide, and he's already, I guess he's got nothing to lose. If he gets wrecked out, he's still in the championship hunt, so.
Driver right behind him, Danny Ware, has everything to lose as he's trying to find his way into the championship 4. They're going to come down, and 3 of Weishart's under attack, and it looks like they're 3 wide behind him, with Bell, Sci-Fi, and the 15 of Cameron Hearn going in the 1. And now we're 3 wide for the lead. So Bell, Sci-Fi, and Weishart 3 wide for the lead coming off turn 2. The top will prevail. So 3 gets a shove from the 15, but we're seeing Daytona-like racing here. Pack racing, 3 wide, all very close.
Yeah, these guys must have heard what I said about being less aggressive and
Whoa.
wanted to make me out to be a liar.
Cameron Hearn from the top lane across the nose of the 77, going down to the apron at the start-finish line. Woo. Talk about a crazy move early in the race.
Side action here throughout the pack. Looked like they were going 3 wide in the back, but now mostly everyone's on the outside.
You know, we get to see the number 15 to Cameron Hearn. He had a 1-race suspension to serve during the playoffs, which basically took him out of the playoffs. He sat the whole 2 weeks of the round of 16, and we've seen him now back tonight. You know, does that play at all into him and wanting to be a spoiler for some of these guys, like making sure that he gets the win tonight?
Very well could be. Could spoil, you never know. Ooh, looked very close there from the 77 of Bell coming off turn 4. And now we see side-by-side battle. The 15 of Hearn looking to take that lead on the outside of Weishart as they go into turn 1. And Jacob Bell going to poke his nose, looking to make it 3 wide again. He's going to give help to the 3 of Weishart as they're dead even for the lead down the back in the 3.
Scraping the wall, the 15 entering that corner.
Looks like Jacob is bound and determined to make that inside line work. He's had multiple chances to move up and hasn't.
Oh, now he's in a 3 wide situation, not for the lead. Delonte Ballard with a run down on the bottom. Bell with a run on the outside, but outside of him, the 15 of Hearn with the biggest run. The 45 Sci-Fi into the wall, scraping it just a bit, keeping it on the outside, still green. I was going to say, we saw on Monday night here, Harold, the top groove, although now they're looking side by side on the bottom, but the leader protecting that outside down the front stretch.
And just wondering about Cameron Hearn. I swear he's driving it like it's an open wheel car. I mean, I don't even move that much in an Indy car. I know if those of you guys that race these big cars, the open wheel Formula One Dallara 18s, you tend to continuously change lanes. It's something you do to break up the draft and cause dirty air behind your wings. So cutting across somebody is very normal, but not normally in these big bricks. These things don't normally take kindly to being moved from the top groove to the bottom in a corner.
We're seeing that with the 77 of Bell, looking underneath the 52 of Tyler Holman for third. He's going to clear him off turn 4. Great pass by the 77.
See if Tyler Holman returns the favor here into turn 1. He has that run going down the straightaway from being on the outside line. Oh, he got the apron.
The 15 of Hearn looking down low. He's going to clear the 3 of Weishart coming off turn 2.
Not quite.
Not quite. The 3 had a massive run off turn 2, and I think that's something we'll see all night because you don't typically see people protecting the outside at any other racetrack. And seeing the 15, can't quite. He's got the 77 of Bell, almost looking low. He shuts the door off.
Stick his nose in there.
Wow. Awful
Very tight.
Close racing early. You would think this was the last lap the way they're moving around.
They're still going at it. I feel like this is something we'll see all night. At the bottom, those trying to send this. The 77 scrapes the wall, keeping it green. Although now the 45 of Sci-Fi is going to get around him, or will he? We see the aggressive moves being made on the front stretches. Mcclendon nearly collecting the 52 of Holman.
A lot of guys using that apron at this racetrack, so they know it has an advantage, but it always bothers me the way the spotter, like we talked about this before, the spotter kind of loses the driver down there on the apron. So, nobody gets told, like where these guys are right now, none of them are being told anything about the cars around them until they get back onto the racing surface.
Mcclendon was into the wall. He's fallen back now to the 9th position. Still green flag racing here at Kansas as we approach lap number 19 this time around. Now the 15 looking like he's in the wall. Might have scraped it a little bit, but now here comes the 77 of Bell as they are all formed up in the back there after the 29 got into the wall.
You read an article about the next gen car talking about skew. I just saw the skew in the 15 on that last corner. Completely crab crawled around that corner.
Oh, Bell tried to clear himself there.
He tried it, but he couldn't quite do it. That run on the outside is just too much.
Yeah, in order to be able to clear somebody with a dive bomb like that into the corner, you have to dive bomb into the corner to make a pass here with how strong the top line is. But in order to do it successfully, you've got to be on the guy's back bumper entering the corner to clear him. I mean, you got to be right up on him. If there's any bit of gap, you don't stand that big of a chance of clearing that, making that pass. The guy on the outside will get right back up to your quarter panel.
In the wall. Weishart into the wall. Here comes Cameron Hearn down low looking for the lead. He's going to get it all 4. Just as Harold went to the back here with Simon Fine and Danny Ware battling for 6th. The 3 of Weishart got into the wall. Now he's losing 2nd to Jacob Bell. So they're going to be side by side now for 2nd going into turn 1. Going to clear him.
That went back because we had drivers on top of each other back there. Look at this stack up here between Ballard, Weishart, and Bell. Hallman going to take over there. Nope.
Oh, Ballard into the wall. Delonte Ballard. Boy, these guys are scraping the wall, slamming into the wall.
You think we're at Darlington or something?
Yeah, this is nuts. But the 15 enjoying what he's seen in his mirror because he's got a half-second gap between he and now second-place driver Jacob Bell. Still jockeying for position. Weishart will still hold the 3rd spot for the moment. Hallman now up to 4th, and Delonte Ballard running inside the top 5.
Ed Robertson, he's only 2 seconds off the leader, but all the way back in 12th, really hurting his chances with Christian DeBoer 1 lap down. But Robertson definitely needs to move up into the top 5 to secure himself a spot into the championship next week.
Basically, other than Scott Mcclendon, everyone is running that top groove. Now we see the 3 back on the bumper of the 77. We'll see what these 2 can do to try and get back to the leader of Cameron Hearn.
So Jacob Bell trying to get as many points as he can get. He's got the bonus point for being clean right now. Has not got a lap led yet. I know that's got to be on his mind because he's trying to make up those 7 points any way he can get them.
Yep, and especially in the playoffs, you'll take him any way you can get him. Closer now to that bumper of the 15.
And Weishart's come back to play. Hallman with him, and those are teammates. And Danny Ware behind them. That's team.
Jacob Bell led that. Oh, sorry. Jacob Bell led that lap at the line, so he's got that bonus point.
Just double check that. And there it is. Hey. So there's that point that he wanted.
I was eager to get that out, but
yeah. I say some of the teammates back here. You got Hallman and Weishart going to be working together. Hearn back there probably helping Danny Weir because Danny Weir is part of the VRA and got Cameron Hearn was a driver for them and now is an affiliate with the Infinity guys. So
Cameron Hearn was leading just a few laps ago. Now he's fighting for that 4th spot.
I think he's helping Danny, to be honest. Kind of looked up, saw where Danny was, and decided to drop back to help Danny to get up to that point to get that lead. Now that 77 has one, kind of help your guy out because Danny's fighting for a spot as well. And somebody knows about that, James. The Audible Elite, and trying to think how many other guys you have in that channel on Mondays. But, you guys have like 6, 7, 8 drivers kind of helping each other out. Saw that getting to, I think, the final 12, or the first round of 12, helping each other out to get as many of your drivers up there.
Ware clipped the wall there coming out of 4. Very fortunate that it did not escalate any further. But the 3 of Weissart almost got into the wall there. Might have scraped it through 3 and 4. So you saw Jacob Bell make an error about a lap ago, running the middle groove, and then getting passed by the 3 of Weissart. Now the 15 of Hearn is back, looking to retake the lead, although he'll settle for 3rd at the moment. Meanwhile, Danny Ware and Tyler Hallman continue to swap positions.
Yeah, we've got a big group of guys down there in the Audible Racing chat. I was actually the only one that was fortunate enough to make it into the playoffs. We tried everything we could right before the round of 12 started to get everybody in there, as many people as we could in there, and just couldn't get it to work out. But yeah, definitely help each other out as much as we can on track as teammates, and as everybody else does too, I'm sure.
Well, definitely. Why not? That's what team chats are for.
Oh, yeah. But our rule down there is if you can go for the win, go for the win. It doesn't matter where points are at, anything like that, to just go for it. So.
Boy, we saw the 15 of Hearn just shut the door on Jake. Now Jake trying to hold on to that 3rd spot with Danny Ware looking below him.
Yeah, Delonte right on his outside as well. He's just trying to push him from the back. He's looking at the inside corner panel, decided against it. Where he just pulls out. It's like he saw he was underneath the 21 and decided to jump back in line. So, James, you guys are probably starting to think about pit stops. Are you going to just kind of get in line here and run out the clock to the next set of pit stops? Or would you be trying to fight for position and maybe get strung out there where you can't get down the pit lane?
I'd probably try and settle in line, wherever that may be. Like, if I'm Jacob Bell right now, I'd probably just settle for 3rd spot. I wouldn't go up there, even if I get a run, to try and race these guys with pit stops coming up. Just settle in line, try and get a nice little buffer between you and the car behind you. Yes, Jacob Bell.
Oh, there goes Jake! Into the wall, into the grass to 77, keeping the car going forward.
Green flag still out. Wow. And that is a lot of damage to the right side of the 77.
Man, you hate to see that. Jacob having such a good run tonight.
And that will hurt his 0 incidents right there. He gets 1 point for leaving the racing surface.
I heard more than his incident's going to hurt his chance at winning because he entered tonight's race 10 points out. So he was basically in a must-win situation, and he had a race-winning car. He stayed inside that top 3 with Hearn, and Weissart. But after that, who knows what the 77 is going to look like at the checkered flag.
Cameron Hearn looking at that outside around number 3 here.
There's a bit of a bubble between Weissart and Bauer, although that is closing up quick because the 3rd spot was once held by Jacob Bell, and it led to a checkup effect of some sort for the guys behind the top 2.
Yeah, Bryce Senesac, Blair Patterson kind of got shuffled back over a second behind the group here up front. We kind of got a group split between Hallman and Mcclendon, and Seidenfeld now leading that group. So 3 little groups running around the racetrack.
You're still running green flag here at Kansas. Gotta ask, when will be the lap that these guys make their pit stops?
I said, if my fuel calculations right, I was thinking right around now. However, they may be stretching it because of the yellow flag that came out earlier. But I don't think they can go much past the 45. They might be able to get to 50 because of the caution laps that we had run earlier. But I don't know. Unless my fuel calculations are way off.
Yeah, I'd say within the next 10 laps, if I had to guesstimate.
This is very interesting what just occurred. All right, that caught me off guard a little bit. Go back to the race. Cameron Hearn leading. David Weishart running second. Flopping the lead still, but... If you follow any one of us on Twitter, including my Twitter, you will like the tweet that I just put out. Okay. I believe we are on. Let me go ahead and refresh this because it is frozen. I think we're on lap number 41. Yes, we are. Okay.
Yep, 41 out of 140. So 100 laps to go here.
uh, You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it because I knew there was going to be one possibility of this occurring. So, very early, well, I think a day ago, Joey Logano tweeted he's going to race tomorrow's duel, which is now. He's going to race the duel like the Daytona 500. As soon as you get scared of crashing, you're never going to win. And on the last lap, he just wrecked himself for the win in the duel. And I just thought that was a little bit hilarious. So now we'll see in the future what that will hold for the 22 car. But NASCAR news, Chris Buescher has won the second duel after that because Logano tried to block him and ended up wrecking himself. And I just thought it was comical because I had envisioned the 22 wrecking himself after that. I couldn't hold that in. I had to say it, but yeah, one more thing I'll say about that.
Didn't you actually pick him to win?
I picked him and I picked Buescher, so it was a win-win in a sense. We see the 15 of Hearn give up the lead now to Danny Ware. And one final thing I was going to say, the Penske, the Roush Keselowski cars, RFK, Roush Fenwick Keselowski, has won both duels. Keselowski winning the first one and Chris Buescher winning the second one. That is your NASCAR update, and Joey Logano wrecked out on the final lap. So that is all I will add. I couldn't hold that in. Now we're back into the race. We're on lap number 45. Being led by Danny Ware after the 15 gave up the lead. And I think, James, you alluded earlier that he was going to help the 18 there as he was shuffling to the back of that top five.
Yeah, those guys work together every week, so it's not a surprise to see them working together now. 18's not really in a must-win situation, but there's no doubt about it. He's gonna go for the win and get in for sure, rather than relying on his point situation.
We've seen some separation now in the pack as we're actually going to see the 15 come down pit road. In the middle of that chaos in the real world of NASCAR, saw the 3 of Weishart come down pit road. He's a lap down. Delonte Ballard also down pit road during that time. And so you mentioned the 15 of Cameron Hearn onto pit road. Oh, also, one more thing. Sorry. Final NASCAR thing I'll say. Greg Biffle made the Daytona 500. So if you're a Greg Biffle fan, you can rejoice and cheer on your driver.
Woohoo, the Biff.
Sunday. Yeah. So now we'll see the 18 of Danny Ware come on the pit road. 52 of Tyler Hallman come on the pit road. The 5 of Eric Grant also down pit road.
As we get all these guys into pit road, I will say one thing about Biffle. I would like to see Biffle get back out there for a truck series so that he can get the trifecta. The only series he didn't win.
Well, I mean,
so
when he came back from trucks, he won the race. First race back in about 2 or 3 years for Greg Biffle was a truck race at Texas. Came in and won that race. So who knows? We could see him get that coveted Daytona 500. We once again focus back on the race. The 45 Science in.
Ooh, sliding the tires there. He might have been a little fast.
Yeah, saw that a little bit of slide there from the 45 sign fine, and right behind him, Scott Mcclendon also on the pit road. So Ed Robertson with the lead, and he pitted a lap before we went back green flag just to top off on the fuel. If this thing goes green to the end, we could see the 64 in a possibly a winning position.
As far as black flags, no one issued black flags at all in that run. Amazing that.
Awesome.
So they did a good job getting out of pit lane, keeping it nice and clean.
Tell you one guy praying for a caution right now is that 64 of Ed Robertson. Caution falls right now. He's got most of the field trapped a lap down. And he can go in, take his fresh tires, and not lose any spots.
Going on and Bryce Senesac onto pit road. Only, say that now, only, I believe, 3 cars down the lead lap, but now the 91 of Patterson has come down pit road. Cameron Hearn, fastest lap of the race. Nope, Danny Ware, fastest lap of the race. Oh boy, did that change in a hurry.
Ed Robertson now down pit road. He'll have a couple lap fresher tires than the rest of the field. See if he can use that to his advantage once he gets out. Back on track. Should cycle David Weishart back to the lead.
It looks like the 3 of Weishart will cycle back into the lead. So pitting early does benefit the 3 of David Weishart. He's going to have about 5-second gap between he and Cameron Hearn. So the difference in lap time, the difference in the laps that David Weishart has on his tires is 10, and then coming across now, Cameron Hearn at 6. So 4-lap difference between the two. Danny Ware, the 5-lap difference between Weishart and himself. There's the difference in the lap time that you can see, the 31 5.26 belongs to David Weishart that last time by, or actually that's a 31.510. Cameron Hearn, I believe that's his correct lap time, a 30.910.
Yeah. Wow. Half a second faster that lap for David Weishart.
So exactly 6/10 quicker. Wow, yeah. You could just see the amount of ground that Cameron Hearn has made up. It was about 5 seconds once the three took over the lead, and now it's cut down to 3.2 seconds. With the lap times Cameron Hearn is running, we'll see him and the 18 of Danny Ware on the 3 of Weishart soon, because you got to remember, Weishart, he's running on his own right now. He doesn't have any draft or momentum that's carrying him forward through the speedway here. Danny Ware is behind the 15 of Cameron Hearn. He's about, say, 2 or 3 car lengths back from him, so he's given the 15 a momentum push throughout the racetrack, as now, once they come down to the line, it's cut down to 2.8. 15 and 18 go across the stripe. Gap now below 2 seconds between Weishart and Cameron Hearn. Danny Ware running second, and then Seinfeld and Tyler Hallman rounding out the top 5. But it looks like we got maybe a 3-car battle there for that 4th spot between Seinfeld and Hallman and Delonte Ballard. It's the closest pack action that we're seeing at the moment, although there is a battle for 11 between Senesac and Patterson. But up front here, 45, 52, and 21, all leave within a second of each other still. Yep, all within a second of each other. They're a little more spread out now, but back up front, 3 of Weiss are continuing to lead for the moment because the 15 and the 18 are closing in on him in such a rapid rate. Last time by, lap time of 31.9 for David Weishart, and Cameron Hearn and Danny Ware both running 31.4. So they're closing in still in the rapid race. Actually, Cameron Hearn has gotten that lead now to under a second. So we'll have to see the defense that David Weishart plays here. Knows that there's a difference on the tires and that the 15 and 18 are catching in a hurry. James, if you're in this situation, do you just let the two go by, or do you try to be like Joey Logano and block the fast car behind?
This early in the race, I definitely wouldn't make it easy for them to get past me, but I wouldn't put myself in a bad spot trying to hold them off. I'd try to make them go around me on the bottom, burn their tires up a little bit, because I believe they're on a lap or two fresher than David. So I'd definitely try and make it hard on them without putting myself in a dangerous position.
I thought that was a lap car. Never mind. That is our leader, David Weishart. He is, I guess, the Cameron Hearn moving at the pace of a lap car because of how fast the 15 is compared to the 3. But about to see an intriguing battle here as the top 3 run the outside, and we'll see them come off turn 4 and see what the 15 and 18 can do. If their car is that fast to pass on the bottom through the corners, because we've seen that top be the line that you want to be in. Seeing it right here, the 15 down low on the 3 of Weishart as they come off of turn 2. Ooh, couldn't quite clear him, although still side drafting there as they now head into turn 3. And it looks like the 15 is going to do it unless the 3 of Weishart prepares for a crossover, and it doesn't look like it. He'll give him a good bump. And now we see a 3-wide battle for the lead. Danny Ware, David Weishart in the middle, Cameron Hearn on the outside, and we'll see the 18 actually take the lead, passing 2 cars on the straightaway before turn 1, and now we see the 3 of Weishart making his own run at the bottom for the lead. But 15 of Hearn's going to give the 18 of Danny Ware that shove that he needs. So put the 18 of Danny Ware into the lead and the 15 of Cameron Hearn to the second spot once again, and David Weishart back in the third position.
Weishart's not letting these guys pull away, though. He's staying right in the draft to Cameron Hearn, making sure he can stay as close to these guys as possible.
Absolutely, and I think that's going to be obvious, but that does add speed to the 3 because he was on his own for the longest, and now that he's got the 18 and the 15 here as drafting partners in a sense, well, something that he can use to his advantage because he didn't have anything, and once the 18 and the 15 were behind him, it kind of gave him a momentum push, but now he can slowly gain with the draft. How long? Only time will tell because these guys will have to come back down pit road once again.
Yeah, another guy that's kind of working his way up through the field, closing that gap to the leaders, is Ed Robertson being on them fresher tires. When I first looked over at him, he was almost 15 seconds behind. He's got that gap down below 10 seconds. Whether or not he has enough time to get up there before the next pit stops is another story.
Robertson with 13 laps on his tires, and now as the top 3 come across the track, 18 for Danny Ware, 19 for Cameron Hearn, and 23 for David Weishart. So actually, Weishart completed the pass there. He passed the 15 of Cameron Hearn as I was looking down to see the lap time. So 3 of Weishart once again still showing speed as now he's in a sandwich between Danny Ware and Cameron Hearn. Although you do have to be careful here because we did see what happens when you're running too close to the wall and you're in that draft or that drafting group on the outside that just does not go away. We saw that Jacob Bell is actually still running 10th, 14 seconds back from the leader. So don't think he's made any repairs to his car just yet. No, although there could be no damage on that 77, although it did generate a 1X, but we saw the previous week at Michigan that guys would just ride the wall and just not have that much damage. So it could be a similar fashion that we're seeing with the 77 of Jacob Bell. There you see, so the 77 will roll past the front stretch, the damage that you see on the right front and throughout the right side of the race car.
Yeah, he definitely got the wall pretty hard. That's a lot of damage. But he's holding in there pretty well. Better than I thought he was going to, anyway.
And Scott Mcclendon has made his way on the pit road. 15 moves up to second once again, past the 3 of David Weishart's previous time around 3 and 4. 15 was looking low on the 18. Danny Ware. See him once again with a big send into turn 3. He's going to come up in front of Danny Ware, but Danny Ware with the crossover. They go out turn 4. Side by side on the front stretch, David Weishart licking his chops, wondering what he can do. They're going to be dead even. Will the 3 make it 3 wide going into 1? No, he's going to stick it to the outside, give the 15 that push. Danny Ware trying to continue to hold that bottom, see if it can work for him coming out 2, but can't quite. The 3 of Weishart is there, so he cannot come up and get the draft off the 15. Now he's going to look to get in line here. And it looks like it's going to be behind the 3 of Weishart. But during this amazing battle, we have crossed the halfway point. So we'll give you our top 10 rundown here at the halfway point of the night's race presented by Swift Lifestyles. Fans, be sure to visit our sponsor, Swift Lifestyles, for clean supplements that help improve your focus and gaming. Use the discount code on your screen, AREA iRacing, AREA iRacing, for 15% off your entire order. We would once again like to give a big thanks to Swift Lifestyles and their continuous support of the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series. It's in the middle of this battle amongst the top 3. That's sort of mellowed down. David Weishart has resumption of the lead. Led 35 laps so far. Looking to see if he can get that bonus point for leading the most laps because it does matter. As we're in the cutoff race, so Weishart looking to be on the plus side of things. He only entered tonight's race 2 points to the good, but being in the lead and leading laps here definitely helps that number 3. Right behind him, though, just running a race, looking to possibly snatch a win from these playoff drivers is Cameron Hearn right behind, although we have seen him help the 18 of Danny Ware, so that could be a possibility that we'll see. But nonetheless, he still has race-winning speed underneath that number 15 car. We'll see where he finds himself once the checkered flag flies, and we'll also see if the 18 of Danny Ware will make the championship four, because he entered tonight's race on the outside looking in, but with the 12 of Wineland not being able to show up, or not being able to race, I should say, the 18 could find himself a way into the race. So we'll have to see if he can win and make it in, or if he'll be good on points. But we'll see after the checker flag flies if that will be the case. And right behind him, Chris Seinfeld, he is slowly working on these top three as they continue to change positions for the lead up front. But Chris Seinfeld won at Charlotte, the race before the playoffs, but he's got speed underneath that 45 in whatever series he drives in. And he chooses that to be the SimSpeedShop Cup Series tonight. So a solid run there from the number 45. And another good run for Tyler Hallman. Once again, working off that podium finish that he had at Charlotte, in which he, along with Eric Wineland, helped the 45 of Seinfeld get that win. And Hallman needed that finish to lock himself into the playoffs, and he's built off that finish since then. He is the only driver locked into the championship four at Phoenix, so he has zero pressure amongst all the drivers in the field. And we look back to the 6th through 10th positions, as actually we got some pit stops being made by Weishart and Danny Ware, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up quick. So Garrett Grant entered tonight's race plus 10 to the good, currently running 4th at the moment. And then right behind him, Ed Robertson got that bonus point lead. He was also on the outside looking in, so we'll see where the 64 finds himself after the checkered flag here. And then right behind, Jacob Bell, he had race-winning speed. He got into the wall, has not had a chance to repair that damage because that would take some time under green flag. So looking for a yellow to fix that damage. No 9 and Bryce Senesac still running in the 7th spot, logging laps here. Involved in that early caution, but still going strong. Blair Patterson, the number 91, having a quiet night so far. Finds himself running in the 8th spot. And it looks like that's going to do it, because 9th and 10th are Danny Ware and David Weishart. And that was your top 10 rundown at the halfway point, presented by Swift Lifestyle. So Jacob Bell now down pit road. Danny Ware and David Weishart coming off pit road. Delonte Ballard also off pit road. Now we see the 15 of Cameron Hearn come in and make his pit stop. We'll go over to our crew chief, Harold Darner. Harold, what do you think of these guys making their pit stops around lap 76 or previous?
Well, they're past halfway, so they're basically going to split the rest of this with that last set of tires for the majority of the field. Ed Robertson maybe still trying to work the two stop. They have one in the rear. A late race caution, if Ed's able to keep a set of tires in his pit stop, as long as he stays in the lead lap, could be paid dividends for him and get him a race win to steal out with the fresh set of tires.
To keep an eye on as we are closing in on 60 laps to go. It's the 45, the 52, the 5, 64. Basically, the top 6 have yet to come down pit road. David Weishart looks like he'll be the leader once things cycle through. If they cycle through, yellow could come out at any moment. So right behind the 64, and now to the outside, it's going to be 3 wide here. Battle for position here between the 18 of Danny Ware and the 29 of Scott Mcclendon, although both are a lap down. Mcclendon pitted early, so once things cycle through, this would be the battle for second, and looks like the 18 is going to get around the 29 with ease. And then right behind the 64 of Robertson, there is the 15 of Cameron Hearn.
I'm interested in seeing how long Ed Robertson actually stays out for. I don't know if he ran his car dry that last run, or if he kind of short-pitted himself to not lose a whole bunch of time being on old tires. So interested to see how this plays out with his strategy compared to everybody else's.
Scott Mcclendon was one of the drivers that was so close to making it into the playoffs for the SimSpeedShop Cup Series. Nearly had a win there at the very end. That Daytona Road Course got past, and then found some left in the tires to pass Nate Trito there at the very end, but fuel played into effect, so he wasn't able to keep the lead for long. And then had a fast car at the Glen, then made an aggressive move going into the bus stop, and then that led him to not winning and not having a good run. As you see the 52 of Hallman there get loose. And then at Charlotte was running up front towards the very end like he needed to, because he was in a must-win situation, but ultimately that did not happen. So the 29 Scott Mcclendon here just looking to log some laps and see what he can do to get a win here on an oval. Of a battle for the lead is actually the 52 of Hallman, still running second. He's half a second back from the current leader of Chris Seinfeld. To come down pit road within the next handful of laps or so. See the cars of Cameron Hearn and Danny Ware pass the first and second place drivers to get their lap back. So now these guys are back on the lead lap. So if a caution were to come out, Scott Mcclendon would actually be the recipient of the free pass unless he's deemed at fault for the yellow. So you're looking here, coming around this time, it'll be 37 laps for Seinfeld and 38 for Tyler Hallman, along with Garrett Grant. So these guys are going to have to make a pit stop here within these next 5 laps. Otherwise, they could run out of fuel and then cause the yellow that way. The longer these guys stay out, the longer they put themselves in an uncomfortable position, because the 09 of Senesac has yet to pit, and he's being passed by, was passed by the 3 of Weishart. Now the 15 and the 18 looking to get around him. Cameron Hearn has already gotten by. Danny Ware still looking to get around the 09, but nonetheless, the lead now closing up to a second. For the 45 is Seinfeld. Tyler Hallman still running second, now 1 second back. Garrett Grant, teammate of Tyler Hallman, running third, along with David Weishart. So Sampson boys, once again, running inside the top 5, although due to pit strategy, nonetheless still a top 5 run for all 3 Sampson guys, who are looking to get all 3 drivers locked into the championship 4 and make it a 3v1 for the lone driver going against Sampson, because the 52 of Hallman is locked in. Garrett Grant headed into tonight's race for with 10-point cushion to the good, so he was second in the points coming into tonight's race. And then David Weishart only +2 to the good, but he's led a good chunk of laps, so he's got a bonus point for leading at least 1 lap, and he's running inside the top 5. So looking like 3 is in a good position to make it to the championship 4, although still 50 laps to go here at Kansas. We're on lap number 90 of 140 here for the SimSpeedShop Cup Series at Kansas for the Midwest Rodeo 210. Race where we saw our earliest caution on lap number 2. involving Christian DeBoer getting into the wall, then the 0-2 of Jordan Martin, turning the 0-9 of Senesac, which they were all collected, and 0-2 where Martin disconnected. Only one retiree so far, and 10 drivers running on the lead lap, and 3 running a lap down or more. Now we see the 45 of Time Fine to come on the pit road. Looks like the 52 will follow him in line. We'll see if the 5 of Garrett Grant, he will stay out and he will lead a lap. So the 5 of Garrett Grant, again, a bonus point for leading that lap. Ed Robertson staying out as well. So those guys were on lap 42 for Time Fine and 43 laps for Tyler Hallman. You know they can stretch it to lap 43 at the very least. Could play into an interesting factor here at the very end.
Yeah, Grant makes his way down pit road. And Robertson taking over the lead. I wonder how many more laps he can stay out for if he's going to try and stretch this out to be able to make it to the end without another stop.
Harold, do you like the strategy call that Ed Robertson is playing here?
Well, Ed Robertson came in with the strategies. He's sticking to it. The worst thing I think he could do at this point is change the way he's doing things this late in the run. He's pretty much made his bed, gonna have to live with it.
You're laying it too. That time by 42 laps for Ed Robertson. If he can stretch it a couple more laps or so, he can possibly make it to the end on fuel. Although, will that happen? We'll see. Only time will tell. There he is, still leading the race, and he's not coming down pit road. He has a 12-second gap to work with, but the question is, if you're the 64 and you're staying out, how much longer are you willing to stay out before the 3 gets too close or even passes you?
Yeah, I feel like no matter what he does at this point, he's going to be behind the 8 ball. With how close Weishart is now, he's probably going to lose a lap. Have to get it back the hard way if we continue to stay green and then just hope for a caution. I think that's the only thing that can save him.
You got a battle for second, actually. Weishart and Cameron Hearn just swapped positions. Now Hearn is up to second. David Weishart running third. Only a 2-lap difference between the two, with Hearn having to fresher tires, nearly contact there. They work their way down the front stretch, but nonetheless, Ed Robertson continuing to lead and battle for second, heating up, because this could be the battle for the win. Some hard racing, and the 15 cannot slide up in front of the 3. He'll slide right behind him. Now the 64 of Ed Robertson has made his way on the pit road. So Ed Robertson going about 44 laps. So he's going to have to, if he's truly going to stretch it to the very end, he'll have to stretch it another lap or so.
I think he's right on because he was 44 laps coming down there and probably had enough to get down pit lane. So he's in a good spot where he is right now, as long as he stays on the lead lap.
Yeah, I believe Hearn and Weishart are going to have to pit again. I don't think they're anywhere close enough to be able to make it to the end.
Those two are going to have to come back down pit road. So at the very end, it's going to matter if Ed Robertson can make it all the way on fuel, and if tire wear will be that much of a concern, because if this goes green to the end, these two will have already pitted before Ed Robertson. Robertson looking to stay on the lead lap here, though he's going to lose it as they go around him on the outside. 64 having the better tires, and the 3 nearly clipping the wall there. Boy, those guys get so close to the wall, I can't tell if they're scraping it or slamming it.
With Robertson
nonetheless,
staying
still
out,
side-by-side battle.
with Robertson coming out in front of the leaders with better tires, is definitely in a good position now, staying on the lead lap. They're 21 laps. He's going to walk away from these guys with those fresh set of rubbers.
Well, now for the lead still going on, Cameron Hearn passing the 3 of Weishart in the middle of that. They anywhere 3.5 seconds back. They pitted around the same time as David Weishart and Delonte Ballard as well. So those guys running second, third, and fourth, all chasing the leader, Cameron Hearn. And for Ed Robertson's strategy to work, this thing would have to go green to the end. And if that's the case, he's looking like he's in the best position possible to win this race. It was a 4-tire pit stop for Ed Robertson, so didn't know if he took 2 tires to stay on the lead lap, but he did take 4, so good call by the 64 of Ed Robertson. We'll see if that works in his favor at the very end. 40 laps to go at Kansas for the SimSpeedShop Cup Series, and we cross lap number 100. And the coverage of the next 40 laps here will be brought to you by SimSpeedShop. We would once again like to thank SimSpeedShop for their continuous support of the SimSpeedShop Cup Series this season in Araya. Racers can visit their website at www.simspeedshop.com, where drivers and racers of all kinds can find multiple items to complete their virtual racing steps, such as button boxes, wheels, racing gear, and much, much more. That is www.simspeedshop.com. Now, all the 3 got passed by the 15 of Cameron Hearn. David Weishart has yet to let the 15 car go away. He's got to run down the back. He's going to stay tucked in, or he didn't make a move. So he's going to stay tucked in behind the 15 car, possibly save some fuel, because these guys will have to come back down pit road again. Continue to put a gap on third place car of Danny Ware, now 4 seconds back from the top 2. Well, that's something that I have not seen tonight. The 15 left a little lane there on the outside for the 3 of Weishart. Especially on a 1.5 miles, James. When the 3 gets a opening on the outside, what does that do for the second place car?
It puts more air on the nose, help them get through the corner a little bit better. With these cars and this aero package and stuff like that, fresh air is everything. Clean air is everything. So when these guys get that little snip of clean air, it actually helps the car rotate. Right now with these guys running in a line, Weishart's having to get out of the throttle a lot more to get the car to rotate, get it to turn better, especially in the center of the corner. As you can see him kind of slide up to the wall right there, getting into Hearn's draft more and more. So he's doing a really good job of maintaining pace and keeping speed with Hearn, while also dealing with the car getting tight while behind him.
I was shocked to see that much being left open on the outside, but now we see the 3 trying to work a little lower than that top groove and kind of work the middle. Now we see him with a big send down into turn 3 on the bottom to get some clean air. Actually, he's going to come down pit road. So the 3 of Weishart, he's only got 29 laps. Looked like he's splitting it. Very interesting call there by the 3 of Weishart. So we'll see how that works out for him. There's actually a number of drivers are on pit road. Sorry. Danny Ware, Delonte Ballard, and Jacob Bell all were down pit road before the 3 of Weishart. So this could derail the strategy for Ed Robertson here. The 15 going to continue to log laps in first, with Seinfeld the closest car in second, then Ed Robertson in third. But yeah, very interesting strategy here. Crew Chief Harold, why do you think they chose to pit now?
Well, they're trying to basically figure out, how to use the best set of tires that they have and get to the end. And like you said, they didn't want to see Ed Robertson walk away from them before they came down and got those fresh set of tires. But Robertson's going to take over the lead here after they get done with the green flag pit stops. And they're probably going to catch him and probably pass him before we get back to the end here. But if we get a late race caution, Robertson still has a set of tires in his pit stall. So that could be paramount later. But this early was to catch back up to Robertson before he got away too far.
The 15 come down pit road. Seinfeld still leading. Ed Robertson going to be the next closest car, running second, 12 seconds behind. along with Garrett Grant and Tyler Hallman. The top four have yet to come down pit road.
I believe Robertson is good to make it from here. I don't think he's going to have to come back down.
Since you have to save about maybe an extra lap or so of fuel because he pitted right around lap 95, 96. The furthest we've seen anyone go was about 44 laps, so he might need another lap to make it to the end, but I don't think that'll be an issue. I think the only issue now for Ed Robertson is that David Weishart has fresher tires than him.
Yeah, Weishart. I'm trying to keep an eye on a gap here to see how much Weishart's actually gaining on him per lap.
Ed Robertson's 13 laps on his tires with 30 laps to go. He did 44 on this last set.
So he's going to be cutting it close, but it sounds like he'll be able to. He should be able to make it to the end anyway.
Will that be enough to get him into the championship 4?
Well, a win will definitely do it.
A win will do it, but if he does not win, if he finishes second, third, or fourth, will that be enough to put him into the championship 4?
It depends where Weishart and Ware finish this race. So, puts him in the best spot. That's one of those things you say, hey, coach, I did the best I can.
I think that's what Jacob Bell can say after tonight's race, because I'm thinking back to the beginning. He had race-winning speed underneath that 77. He was running inside the top 3, made one mistake, got too close to the wall in turn 4, bounced off of it, went through the grass. It did not bring out a caution, and he's been stuck a lap down since. As the 45 now into the wall, Seinfeld, that is your race leader. He was in it for quite some time. I don't know if that's going to affect the handling of the race car anymore, but he was in that wall for the longest time than anyone I've seen tonight.
We see how much it hurt Jacob Bell, speed-wise, getting into the wall. I don't think that was as hard of a hit, but he definitely rode it for longer than Jacob did, so.
35, 21 laps on his tire, so he will have to come back down pit road again. See if he's holding the clutch in to try and make it on fuel, although I think it's going to be impossible here because of the package that we have. I mean, it's nearly full throttle, and there's little looking. Don't see the RPMs going down any. You think he's taking it easy, especially after hitting the wall.
Oh yeah, definitely take a couple laps, regroup, get back into a rhythm to keep that from happening again. I know my plan running here on Monday and Tuesday night was to not run the top until I absolutely had to. Just to keep anything like that from happening. Because one little slip up there, it sucks you right into it, and especially through 3 and 4. And then it's hard to pull off of it.
So in other sports, we call that an unforced error.
Yes.
Plus, still an 8.6 second gap for Chris Seinfeld, leading over Ed Robertson. It's the gap between Robertson and David Weishart now 10 seconds. Through the last lap times, Ed Robertson at 31.7, David Weishart at 31.2, so Weishart half a second quicker than Ed Robertson, who we believe is going to be good enough to go on fuel. He might have had to save another lap or so, but it's going to be close for him.
That gap now down to 9 seconds between him and the next guy on fresh tires. That could come up there and battle for the lead for David Weishart, who is now up to 3rd place.
Just got by his 2 teammates in Sampson from Tyler Hallman and Garrett Grant, which once again, although due to the circumstances of the pit stops, top 5 run to go for Sampson. And this team could legitimately have all three of their cars into the championship 4. I've close to have gotten a hit by the 15 of Cameron Hearn. Cameron Hearn 2 laps less on his tires than David Weishart, so we could see these two battle for the win again, although it's about a second gap between the 3 and the 15. The gap is around 8 seconds now between Ed Robertson and David Weishart. Very close, though.
Like I said, we got Robertson ahead of these guys by 7 seconds. They're getting about a second a lap on him. So they'll be there within the next 10 laps.
That gap between Robertson and Weishart continues to decrease, but it's not as fast. Weishart is not catching Robertson as rapidly, so the tire wear is starting to come into play for Weishart.
Coming into play for Sci-Fi 2, he's just had to come down and make his pit stop, although that was more fuel than tire wear, but nonetheless he will have fresh set of good years. Now Ed Robertson into the lead, 6.2 seconds separating him and David Weishart. 20 laps to go at Kansas. Does the 3 have enough time to catch the 64 of Robertson? Because at some point the tires do even out.
Interesting too to see Robertson running that bottom lane. I'm wondering if maybe our calculations are a little off and he's a little closer than we think, trying to take the short way around the track.
Gap is dwindling between the 64 and the 3, 5.4 now. The gap is also dwindling between the 3 and the 15. They're about 4 car lengths back, separating the 2. So we could see the 3 and the 15, David Weishart and Cameron Hearn, battle for the win, but nonetheless, they have to get around the 64 of Ed Robertson first. Like they're in might be in some lap traffic there. I'm not too sure. Could have sworn it went down below 4 seconds and then went back up to 5. Now it's below 5. It's around 4.9. It's slowly going up. I'm wondering if these two they're actually battling for a position. I can't tell if there's lap traffic in the way or not, but that's not stopping these guys from battling because they know that this could be the battle for the win.
Yeah, those guys are right on top of each other on the relative there. Only 0.2 of a second separating them. So yeah, they could be battling here and actually losing time to Ed.
And some advice from one of our own, Dominic DeLeo, in the chat. Robertson done unless he starts running the top side.
Now, here's the thing with Ed Robertson is one of the Samson's crew, is he not? No.
Yes. Ed drives for Samson.
Okay.
He's not a points driver in the Cup Series, but he is a Samson guy.
So that would be one of these things. So Hallman and Grant are already in. Weishart, where he is in. Does Weishart, knowing that his buddy wins and gets in, just sits behind him?
We could see that because we saw the 15 helping out the 18 of Danny Ware earlier in the race. So we could see that happen between the 3 and the 64. But with the way these two are running at top speeds, I'm not sure if Weishart can do both. He's going to have to either block the 15 of Hearn, or he's just going to have to commit to blocking the 15, or just take the lead from the 64 and try and hold off for the win. Very close here as we're in 15 to go at Kansas. Also, to point out, Dominic DeLeo, I'm not sure if you can save much running on the outside than on the bottom, because Robertson is looking close with fuel You have to keep that in mind.
Last lap, they were only faster than Ed Robertson by 0.4, and they 13 laps remaining. 0.4 ain't gonna cut it, I don't believe.
9-lap difference on tires between Robertson and Weishart. Meanwhile, 11-lap difference between tires for Robertson and Cameron Hearn. At some point, they do even out, and we're starting to get into that second half of the run for the next 20 laps or so. But these two are going to go on fuel the rest of the way. It's just relying on the 64 of Ed Robertson. The gap has stayed dwindling. It was dwindling all the way from 10 plus seconds back. It's now at 3, it's hovering around 3 seconds. So we'll see where this heads.
And to touch base more on running the outside versus the inside here, I know Monday and Tuesday night I was actually able to save more of my right front on the bottom. The right front tire did not wear out near as fast running the bottom as it did the top. So Ed could be playing it safe right now, using that to his advantage, knowing that, and running the bottom to save the right front, knowing that these guys are on fresher tires, and then will move up when he feels he needs to.
Still hovering at just around 3 seconds between Robertson and Weishart, along with Cameron Hearn. Danny Ware holding on to 4th with battle for 5th. Well, they're close. Tyler Holman and Garrett Grant 5th and 6th, but only one can have that 5th spot. Now these two are going to go side by side, which this should benefit the 64 of Ed Robertson. These two going side by side and continuing the battle, but now the really wasn't that much of a battle. The 15 just cleared the 3 of Weishart, and who knows, we could see the 15 set sail for that number 94, or 64, excuse me.
Yeah, I believe Hearn pit a little bit later than Weishart, so Hearn's on a little bit fresher tires, I believe.
Yeah, difference between Hearn and Weishart, 2 laps. Difference between Robertson and Hearn, 11 laps. And we're already seeing the gap now start to go below 3 seconds, 2.8 as they cross the stripe. 10 laps to go at Kansas. Does Ed Robertson have enough fuel to make it to the end? Would not only be his first win in the SimSpeedShop Cup Series, this would lock him into Phoenix along with Tyler Holman.
It'd also be his first win in Araya throughout all the series. So
Absolutely.
Win at the top series as your first one's be a pretty cool thing to brag about.
Robertson with only 1 top 5 in the Cup Series, along with 9 top 10. So he's been a solid top 10 driver. It's just been a struggle to get inside the top 5 and to keep those finishes. But gap now, 2.3 seconds between Hearn and Robertson. And David Weishart's not close enough to do anything, so this is going to come down to the 15 and the 64 here. 2.1 seconds as the 15 and the 3 run the top.
3/10.
Robertson's still running the bottom.
Only a 3/10 gain that last lap. Well, actually now 4/10 on that lap. But he's got 8 laps to get this done. It takes 5 laps just to cut the gap.
The gap now literally 2 seconds, now below 2 seconds. 15 and the 3 continuing to run the top. 64 still running the bottom. Actually, I think he's running the outside. That is the 29 of Mcclendon.
Gap is now under 2 seconds here with 7 laps to go.
For that time by, Ed Robertson down to 32.3. He's been running 32.5s.
Cameron Hearn going to come up in front of Scott Mcclendon, a lap car in the 29. It's a very close call there from the 15, but nonetheless, he's still going after a trophy. Shaping up to be a very intriguing finish. 1.7 seconds between Robertson and Cameron Hearn. Hearn with the fresher tires. 11 laps difference. 11 laps fresher than the 64 of Ed Robertson. Robertson holding the lead for as long as he can. He also is trying to save as much fuel as he can because of the lap that he came down to pit. We approach 5 laps to go now at Kansas. He is looking at around 45 laps, I believe. 45, actually 44, it might be 44 laps on fuel. He's going to cut it close.
Based on the current condition, Cameron Hearn is not closing fast enough to close the gap in 5 laps. So will you give this win to the crew chief of the number 64 and a berth into the Final Four?
Yes, Wyland only had a 7-point cushion heading into tonight. And if he does get credit for last place finish, which would be 15th, that would not be enough for him to advance. One driver trying to advance is the 64 of Ed Robertson. He was on the outside looking into tonight's race. Three laps to go now. 1.3 second gap between Ed Robertson and Cameron Hearn. It is all that 64 out there. I don't know if there's going to be enough time for Cameron Hearn to make up any ground this late in the race.
3 laps to go. Ed Robertson leading the way. Only about a tenth and like 1.5 tenths going to Hearn's direction each lap here, with Robertson leading the way with 2 laps to go signaled to the number 64.
Robertson continuing to run that bottom, the shortest way around the racetrack. For Ed Robertson works his way off turn number 4 to see the white flag as soon as he crosses that stripe. The race is official, and there we go. White flag out, 1 to go, presented by 1 to Go Studios here at Kansas. One more lap for the 64 of Ed Robertson, trying to make it on fuel. He's held on to the lead for as long as he can. He's got 1.4 seconds to work with down the backstretch for the final time.
Running that bottom lane, too. Who would have thought that?
Not going to be enough for the 15 of Cameron Hearn as he's wall riding in the middle of 3 and 4. And in front of him, coming off turn 4 and collecting his first win of the year and punching his ticket to Phoenix, it is Ed Robertson getting the job done. The strategy call worked. What a win for that number 64 car. He wins tonight at Kansas, and he punches his ticket to the championship 4.
Awesome job by Ed there. Man, I've been a friend of his for several years outside of this, so to see him do so good tonight and get that win when it mattered, coming in clutch for himself, man, that is awesome to see. I'm proud of him.
Some celebratory taps there from the 3 of Weishart.
My pick 1 from shotgun on the field, might I add.
You
no
did?
commentator's curse.
2 straight weeks, the commentators have picked the winner. And he does have enough fuel left to do some burnouts in the grass now onto the front stretch, but nonetheless, what a win. What a job from the 64 of Ed Robertson. He wins, punches his ticket to Phoenix. 2 straight weeks, drivers that have won the race punched their ticket into the championship race at Phoenix. Both from the outside looking in, Tyler Hallman was last week at Michigan, and he won. Ed Robertson came into tonight's race, I believe, 6th in the standings, and he just hit the wall, so that means he passed his post-race inspection now. But nonetheless, both weeks, drivers on the outside needing a win to get in, and it happened in consecutive weeks. Who knows what the championship week will look like 1 week from tonight. We'll go ahead and try to get your race winner up here, the 64 of Ed Robertson. I believe we got him right now. Ed, this is Hunter Harold and James Shanewolf in the booth. Got a copy?
10-4. How you guys doing?
We're good. We didn't know if fuel was going to be a factor into the finish, but I made the call as soon as you came down pit road that if the race goes green to the very end, this could work out in Ed Robertson's favor. And nonetheless, it did. Congrats on the win. Take us through what that call was like, because you knew that you needed a win to get in.
Oh yeah. To be honest, I am speechless. I can't believe that just happened. We had that one caution early We were all wadded up, um, real hard, tight racing, and right from the rip, we can kind of see it was just hard to pass. Um, Highline was definitely dominant. You get a lot of momentum down the straightaways, and really hard to make passes. You had to throw sliders, stuff like that, which was fun. Don't get me wrong, but just knowing how hard it was to pass, I knew it was going to take something different to put myself in the hunt. And we got that caution early, and like I had a game plan going in. I knew what laps roughly I wanted to pit if we stayed green, but that totally threw a wrench in it. I tried to crunch some numbers, texting and driving, definitely wasn't working out too well under caution there. Um, but just at quick glance, I'm like, if I top off, it's going to be super close. So right then and there, it was just my key to do something different. That was the difference that I saw that potentially could have given me a chance, and I did it. I don't know how, but I did it. Whew.
Yeah, I know what that feeling must be like. I'm pretty sure James knows what that was like when he was first starting his iRacing career. And
Oh yes,
previous week with Tyler Holme getting his first win and Dominic DeLeo getting his first win at Michigan, both needing those wins to get into the championship four. And you mentioned that the difference, I think, going back to it now, I think the difference was the lap before green after that first caution, the only caution of the race. You came back down pit road and topped off for a splash of fuel. In the back of my mind, I don't know if I said it, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking that it could, if the race goes green to the very end, this could be an interesting move here because it definitely puts you on a different pit strategy.
absolutely. Like I said, it just soon as it all happened, I saw a lot of the guys stayed out. The guys that mainly pit were guys that had damage. So like I said, it just clicked something different, uh, and it was ride or die with that new strategy. Um, and I, I like I said, I'm speechless. I These guys in this league across all series. Um, I unfortunately I don't get to race in every series, but I definitely watch every week. The broadcast you guys put on is absolutely amazing. It's always fun to go back and rewatch broadcast. But everybody throughout all these series are top-notch competitors, um, and just to be able to run well, get great finishes is an accomplishment in itself, and just to be able to top off this season, which has had some ups and downs, to say that I'm actually going to the final four with a chance. That's all I needed. Just like tonight, I just needed a chance to do something different. Just who knows what could happen. So just kudos to everybody in this league. It's been great competition all year long. Some really tough competition has taught me a lot. So I'm looking forward to Phoenix. I think even though Kansas might have just been my favorite track, I think so many laps are going to be turned in Phoenix within the next couple days. It's going to absolutely be my favorite.
We didn't know if you'd run out of fuel or if the 15 would catch up, and uh, might have seen you play the role as Joey Logano and try to block. And thankfully, we didn't see that. We glad to see you get the win. Congrats, man! I'm speechless too. I can't believe I just just witnessed that. Are there any shout outs you want to give out before you go?
Absolutely. First and foremost, James Shane Wolf. He's been a buddy of mine for years and years now. Him and I go back racing NASCAR Heat on Xbox days, though the times we don't care to admit that. But him and I go back many years. He helped me get into this whole iRacing deal. I actually spotted for him for a number of years, and he'll tell you I just couldn't wait to actually get behind the wheel and get out here with everybody. So first and foremost to him, he has really pushed me a lot and taught me so much when it comes to iRacing, uh, as well as provide some pretty sweet paint schemes throughout my iRacing career. So first and foremost, Shane Wolf, appreciate it, brother.
You're gonna make me cry, man.
Though I'm not a Northern Capital guy tonight, or a Samson guy tonight. We're all one big group. I run the Lodge Box series for Samson. Um, and I definitely couldn't do it without a lot of those guys between Chris, Garrett, Tyler, and of course David. All they've helped immensely throughout this past year. Um, and I wouldn't be surprised if David was playing a little rope a dope there at the end, catching me as fast as he was, and kind of took it easy on me there at the end. But I can't thank those guys enough. Everybody at Northern Capital that has helped this series immensely. Russ and Steve Anderson, Lodge Box, SimSpeedShops, everybody that makes this possible. You guys there in the booth, I seriously, I love it. It's can't thank you enough. And if you guys don't stop me, I'm just gonna keep talking. Please stop me.
Well, like the tortoise in the air, it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish, and as we're coming to a finish on this Cup Series season, you along with Tyler Hallman started out slow, but nonetheless you have progressed throughout the playoffs, and both of you guys are going into the championship four. But nonetheless, an impressive job, an impressive call. What a win! What a victory! Ed Robertson, you're wearing tonight at Kansas. Have a good night.
Woo! Take care, guys.
Right, that is your race winner, and now we will go to second place driver Cameron Hearn, who on the screen seems to have crashed onto pit road. Cameron, Hunter, Harold, and James in the booth. Everything okay down there?
Cameron said he didn't need this car no more. He's like, we're going short track racing. This is the last speedway car we needed, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'll be on a new team next year. That'll be announced soon. So might as well tear up what I can.
Well, didn't know if you would have enough time to catch the 64 Red Robertson, although the tires do even out at some point, and at the very end of that run, it seemed like that even out at the end where you couldn't just catch them anymore. Take us through what that last that last run to the finish was like.
Yeah, I stayed behind David, and I thought that we would be faster running straight line, 1-2, than battling out. And I think I stayed behind him a little bit too long before making the move. And then a lap car, I thought they were going to give me the high side, and they didn't. I think it was Scott Mcclendon. And basically, last second, I tried to go low in 3 and 4, and I felt like that really killed my tires. And after that move, I felt like the car had extreme push, and I was only making a tenth or so a lap. And I was just hoping that Ed would run out of gas because I wouldn't have caught him on speed. And but hats off to him. He runs consistently, clean racer. Good to see him out front, and it was a fuel strategy move, but he was fast there at the end on old tires, and he held me and David off, so that's awesome to see.
James, Harold, any questions for Cameron?
No, man.
Well, okay.
You did an awesome job tonight.
All right, I'll sound happy. All right.
Cam, you know the issue with me. I've interviewed so many times. I have no more questions.
All right, well, I have a question for you then, Cameron. You said that you're going to a new team next season. You want to hint about who that is or where you're going?
Nah, it's going to be. I'm going to keep it under wraps. I think it's going to shock some people. The cool thing about it is I feel like the guys we're with will have a lot of things in common, and we're looking to build. And I think we have a great foundation, and we got a lot of fast drivers. And I think there's going to be a new team that's not going to be just new. We're going to be competing for the championship. So I'm excited.
Awesome, man.
Well, Cameron Hearn with a second place finish and a wrecked race car on the pit road. Any shout outs you want to give out before you go?
Yep. Thank you guys for the broadcast. Eli Green for being admin tonight. Caution free race. So awesome. And also give a shout out to the guys that show up week in and week out who aren't battling for the playoffs. It's awesome to see. I feel like next year with the next gen, I think we're going to have a lot of full fields, especially a lot more people into the season, a lot of new teams. So I'm excited for that. Hats off to Ed again for locking. He pretty much won the race, locked himself in. That's clutch right there. Awesome move. Took advantage of the caution early, and that's what it's all about. And I want to thank my dad watching, my wife, and just like I said, all you guys in the broadcast. I really appreciate it. It's the best I've seen in iRacing, and I've been around iRacing for over 10 years. So I appreciate what you guys do for us, and look forward to seeing you guys next week.
All righty, we're looking forward to see you next week, too. That is your second place finisher, Cameron Hearn. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
For second place finisher Cameron Hearn, and we'll bring up David Weishart in the number 3, which I'm 99.9% sure that after tonight's race, you're going to be in the championship for. David, Hunter Harold, and James Shane will in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you had race-winning speed there, but the strategy call by Ed Robertson at the very end left you in a battle for second, and ultimately Cameron Hearn got around you. But nonetheless, still decent speed, led 39 laps. Take us through your night.
My night went pretty smooth. Usually I'm complaining a lot in these races. It's a lot of aero push, a lot of draft help. But tonight, man, this setup just suited me. You could lean on the right rear a little bit. It got really loose on the top after about 10 or 15 laps, and I was pushing a little early. I short pitted on almost every stop, and by the time Cameron was getting to me there at the end of those runs, I was losing the right rear a little bit. So overall, not too bad. I had a lot of fun tonight. I mean, I'm usually upset if I don't win, but third place, and to watch Ed, who, I'm so happy for Ed. He busts his butt every week and shows up quietly and does really what's asked of him, and it was really good to see him get a win tonight.
Well, yeah, Dave, so, this Harold up in the booth, you did a pretty good job. Your whole Samson team and affiliate, Ed Robertson, all will be in the championship 4, as we saw the points just updated. Danny Ware was tied with Hallman, but since he had the win, he's on the outside looking in, but they were tied in points. Wineland not showing up tonight pretty much put a nail in his coffin, and Bell and Garrett Heath wasn't even here tonight. So pretty good job of your Samson boys here in the Cup Series.
Yeah, that's we're real proud of that. That's I know there's some circumstances that probably led to it, but we'll take it nonetheless. It's really cool to have all of our drivers, and Ed in the Cup Series doesn't run for us for points, but he's just as much a team driver as the rest of us. So we're real proud of that. We'll take some pride in it, and it's going to be fun next week between the 4 of us.
All right, who do you want to thank for your podium finish tonight and advancements to Phoenix for the championship 4?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to SimSpeedShop and Russ Anderson and Northern Capital for sponsoring us here at Samson. Thank Cameron Hearn for racing me clean all race. He pulled some slide jobs on me, did it cleanly a couple of times. If he wanted to, he could have put me in the wall, but he didn't. He knew what we were racing for. So thanks to him, and thanks to y'all for broadcasting, and the admins and Jacob Bell for doing everything they do, and everybody watching.
All right, David Weishart, the Samson guys, all heading out to Phoenix, the championship 4. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.
All right, let's get into a few other housekeeping things. We'll go up and kill off this, and up there. All right, we're under the lights still. Our final results for the Midwest Rodeo 210. We have Ed Robertson winning the race in his number 64, followed by Cameron Hearn and David Weishart. Danny Weir up in the 4th spot. Garrett Grant in the number 5 puts it in 5th. Chris Seiden 5 and 6. 7th was Tyler Hallman. Delonte Ballard in 8th. Scott Mcclendon in 9th. A lap down with Bryce Sinisak in the 10th position. 11th was Jacob Bell, a lap down. Blair Patterson, a lap down. Christian DeBoer, 2 laps down. Jordan Martin was 137 laps. He basically was involved in a very early caution. Eli Green was admin, and Eric Weiland did not start the race. That was our results for the SimSpeedShop Cup Series Midwest Rodeo here at Kansas City, Kansas. And we'll check in with our race recap here from Elwood Designs. And the Midwest Rodeo recap, Ed Robertson leading 30 laps was our winner for the night. We had 1 caution for 4 laps. Number of drivers were 16 that started the race. And Cameron Hearn, fastest lap, 30.346. And the one thing that everybody wants to see, bang.
There you go.
One. That's the wrong one. That's from yesterday. Oh,
He duped you.
I duped you. How about this one? Here you go, everybody. There it is.
There it is.
There it is. All right. See, I threw the wrong one up. Hallman, Grant, Weishart, and Robertson are your championship 4 for the SimSpeedShop Cup Series at Phoenix Raceway next week.
And three of the 4 guys are Samson Motorsports drivers, although one is affiliated with Samson, and that is Ed Robertson, but he needed the win to get in, along with the 52 of Tyler Hallman. Meanwhile, Garrett Green and David Weishart both pointed their ways in. So as we wrap things up here from Kansas, guys, any final thoughts?
Well, so you can tell with those helmets, because this is something new that ATVO has for me, is these little hero cards, and those are the drivers' paints and their helmets with the numbers on there. Those are all Northern Capital helmets. So that's all I had.
James, any final thoughts?
Man, what an awesome race. Happy for Ed to finally break through and steal his first one, and congrats to all of Samson Motorsports on making it between teammates for the Championship 4. Be interesting to see what goes on next week within the chat, if everybody's going to be going for it. So see if they put the whole teammate thing to the side, since it's just them, and see how hard they race each other.
All right, and next week we'll kick off our Championship 4 week. As Monday night, we'll crown a champion for the Swift Lifestyle Pro Series. Then Tuesday night, the Northern Capital Truck Series. Wednesday night, the Lodge Box Series. And then a week from tonight, SimSpeedShop Cup Series will crown one of these 4 drivers as champion in Phoenix. All the races are at 8:40 Eastern on the Area Twitch channel. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Area iRacing. And to keep up with all things Area at www.areairacing.com. From everyone up here to James Shane Wolf and executive producer Harold Darner, I'm Hunter Sloppy saying so long, and we'll see you next week.
What an exciting race brought to you by One to Go Studios. Here they come out of turn 4 to the white flag, and it's 1 to go. Thank you to all our sponsors, drivers, and viewers. We'll see you at the next turn.